Evening, Danvers. We're going to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Danvers Public Schools is a dynamic community of independent learners dedicated to respect, responsibility, creativity, and the pursuit of academic and personal excellence. This meeting is being broadcast on Danvers Community Access Television. Is there anyone else in the audience who is recording the proceedings? Okay, so we will start with our meeting today for January 8th. With any items of interest to the superintendent, school committee, or community. So, is there anyone from the community who would like to speak? Mr. Pollack.
Good evening, everyone.
Hi.
Friends. I'm just lucky to be here once a year, probably, when the elementary schools are here for a presentation. I'm here representing the Human Rights and Inclusion Committee as we prepare for this coming Monday's, I guess it'd be a week from today, Martin Luther King celebration at Danvers High School in the atrium. The time will be from 3 o'clock until 6, so we've added an extra hour. And the reason we've added it is because we're going to have more interaction of those that want to come. No one's going to be forced to interact, but all these youngsters here, get your parents out and tell them to come on over and have a good time. There'll be food and music, a lot of artwork from our grades K through 12, and it's an event that really is one of the top events. And we have to thank the school administration for all their help, especially Mary Wormers, Adam Federico, and who am I missing here? Let's see. Also, I want to thank Jasmine Ramon, our DEI director for the town of Danvers, and Alex Grover, who organizes all the music. So it's a fun time, it's a serious time, and I do have a few brochures. I didn't bring a lot. I didn't expect this group, but there are some. It says, and the thing is, move like king. That's the theme this year. Move, M, like L, king, K. So it's a little bit of a different program, but not that different that at the end, the last hour, we'll have some speakers and some presentations from school committee, not school committee, students, and also we'll have some singing from groups from the high school, the middle school, and St. John's Prep. Those that have been there before know what it's like. It's really a great time, And they tell me the food is outstanding, but again, I'm on my post-New Year's diet. So, but anyway, everyone's welcome, parents, children. I think you'll enjoy the evening, it's afternoon type situation, and we promise you'll be out by 6. If there are any questions, I'll take any.
Any questions?
None from the superintendent.
No, it's all.
No, but I will say that was the first event that I attended as the elect superintendent, and it was an outstanding, great bringing of the community together. So it's a wonderful program. So thank you for coming tonight and providing that information.
And we thank you and your whole department for all the help, really. I mean, this has become, I guess, Mary, we sort of know what we're doing every year, but, you know, it's not one that doesn't get tuned up every year for a little different play, so to say, okay? Thanks again, folks. Hope to see you all. Yep.
Thank you. Anyone else? Any public comments? All right. Any information from any school committee members? Superintendent? Okay.
Not yet.
All right. So we will start then with the student reps, Lily and Julia.
All right, so next week at the high school we have our midterm exams, so that's fun. And 5 students were named all-scholastic student athletes for the fall season, so that's really cool. And the high school music department has a lot going on this January, actually. Kicking it off with this past weekend?
So this weekend, we had 9 music students attend the Massachusetts Music Educators Northeast District Festival ensembles. 8 were singing and 1 played an instrument. Special recognition was awarded to Timothy Bowler, who is a senior. He received the 2024 Excellence in Music Scholarship for Outstanding Achievement in Leadership and Music. So the award selected by the organization's executive board, and it's given to 1 or 2 graduating seniors from the whole ensembles. He's been selected to the All-State and All-Eastern choruses in the past, and later this month with 6 other singers at the high school. They're going to be auditioning for All-State again. So congratulations to Tim and all the other music students involved.
Thank you.
We also have a cappella night on the 27th. Which is a really awesome event for our music department.
Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next up is the DPW Electric Division calendar presentation. I just announced it for you by accident, even though it's information
Quite all
from
right.
you.
We will have Principal Colantoni and Mary Warmers. Yeah. Back up.
So if we can actually have all the students, all of our winners, come up front. You guys can head on up. I'm not sure where the best place to stand would be.
Right there.
Yeah. Perfect.
Come on up.
All right, so good evening, everyone, and thank you to our school committee for allowing me to present our 2024 DPW Student Calendar Contest winners. This year, the calendar recognizes the creative talents of our 6th grade art students at the Holton Richmond Middle School, whose illustrations help demonstrate this year's topic of recycling and waste reduction. Our winners, along with their fellow peers, were joined by Danvers DPW staff members in early September to discuss how waste reduction and recycling right is supported here in the town of Danvers. Topics included discussion around the fundamentals of waste reduction, simple ways to reduce waste at home, and how important it is that we all, as a community, place the right things in our recycling bins. After this discussion, students were encouraged to educate Danvers residents about what they had learned, with topics ranging from recycling right, pollution prevention, litter reduction, reduce, reuse, and recycle, and composting. Our winners did an amazing job at providing illustrations that will educate our residents all year long. We from the Danvers DPW are so proud of all of our contest participants, and their hard work has helped make a difference by teaching our community to help protect our environment and encouraging our residents to do their part to practice sustainable habits. And a big congratulations goes out to all of those participants and our contest winners. Would you like to read the names?
Sure.
Yes, no?
All right, so I'm Principal Colantoni. I want to congratulate all of our scholars here. I only agreed to be here if I got a calendar, so looking forward to my calendar. So I'm going to read your names off one at a time. Cheryl Ayugani. Chloe Schumann. Ala Malini.
Principal Colantoni. Parents want to grab a picture, they can.
Yeah, parents can come up if you want
Parents wanna grab
to
pictures, come on up,
take
please.
pictures.
Don't be shy.
Sorry.
No, I was gonna say that.
Should we start again so that they?
Should I start over?
Yeah, you.
We gotta start, we gotta
you
get
might have to
pictures.
start over.
Take 2. All right. Sorry, Cheryl. Cheryl Ayugani. Chloe Schumann. Ala Malini. Jordan Eppinger. Lauren Burrell. Sophia DeSessa. I think Sophia could make it tonight. Quinn Doyle. Gavin Gross. Brooklyn Pepper. Fiona Eanes. I think Fiona can make it. Ellery Lewis. Juliana Chuda.
And last but not least, Mario Travaglioni. I think Mario can make it either, but congratulations to you all. One more round of applause for everyone.
If we could get a group picture for parents and.
Yeah.
You can get out.
Let's do it, everyone.
Yeah, you can get in front of the podium
Get in
if you
front of
want.
the podium,
Yeah.
so that's not in the way.
Yeah, you guys want to stand up here in the front?
You got all those precious moments? Awesome. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you, parents and guardians, for being here, and students, awesome job.
Thank you. Superintendent Bauer, how do we get a calendar? Does the town send them out?
I think I'll be making a call tomorrow to the DPW.
Okay, thank you.
We spent a lot of time these last 2 days on the snowstorm.
They used to mail them out, I think. I don't know if they still do.
Oh, yeah, we did.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next up we have our holiday commendations, and Assistant Superintendent Mary Wormers will make the presentations.
Great. So over this holiday break, we had some teachers that went above and beyond the call of duty. So at this time, I want to call up, I'm going to start with the Highland School. So I'm going to call up Kelly Boudreau and the Highland School gang to the podium. No, the whole... Oh. You can go. You guys can stand behind her to give her the support. Right there at the podium. No, you can stand at, Kelly, you stand at the microphone, so in case you want to say. Go ahead.
Do I have to make a
So
speech?
at the beginning of December, I got an email from Kelly Boudreau that asked, how the Highland School could help their students who are families that were in need of assistance. And so she was asking me, what was happening for them, and that they really wanted to do something special for them. So Kelly organized and collected donations for all their students at Highlands that were in need. And when I say you could not believe the bags that were coming in of gifts for each of their students that they were able to present to their families for the holidays. So they brought them over and worked with the social service agency and got them to the students. And each student had really a giant garbage bag full of gifts for them, and really made truly a special Christmas for them. They also not only did they do that for their students, but they also did it for all the siblings and parents. They were all gave them gift cards so that they were able to have a nice Christmas as well. So I really want to commend Kelly and the Highlands team for going above and beyond in this holiday season and really making it special for their kids.
Thank you. Thank you.
Kelly. Thank you.
It's a great thing for them to have done, that really
Yeah,
is.
it was, it was amazing. The people at the agency were crying
Yeah.
when they had them coming here. It was just very
Fantastic.
special.
Families can continue to stay. You're welcome to leave. It's up to you.
All right.
I mean,
our-
it's, the fun
Yep.
part's over now.
I know. Well, no,
For
there's
them,
still
for them.
more.
There's still more.
There's still more for Smith
Okay.
School. So we're going to have Meg White and Amy Graberio come up with their families, because the next part is around Smith School. So over at Smith, a parent of a student at Smith owns the Ward House restaurant. So the DeMarcus family owns the restaurant, and they donated 250 meals to all our families in need of assistance. So 250 Christmas meals went. Meg White and Amy Graberio's families went to the restaurant, picked up the meals, brought them to the site, and where they distributed it. Amy Graberio, in turn, too, not only just provided the meal, she decided that she wanted to add something to it, so she coordinated a gift card donation program, so she got gift cards that went along with every single meal. I think there was a nice little Christmas tree in there, too, that they had made. It was really special. And then Luciana Maffeo baked cookies, so there was a dessert that went along with it, too. So it was a Smith School effort, and it just really touched all the families, and it was wonderful to see the pictures coming through that day of you distributing it, all of you distributing it, and bonding with the kids, and just, it was a special moment. So it was, the lines of people that were there to get the food were just amazing. So I really appreciate, and the district appreciates everything you did to get them a special meal for the holidays. So, but on to the next slide. These two teachers did not rest. They decided they would spend their vacation an hour and a half every day at Danvers Indoor Sports. So Meg White coordinated the donation of field time from Danvers Indoor Sports. We got that. We got the children together. We put out permission slips and invited some students to come and play soccer at Danvers Indoor Sports. All these families here. I think, Meg, you have also boys' high school team that also volunteered their time, as well as teachers John Hodgson, John White, Meg's husband, Mike Bellier, and Nico Perandi, who's now our ESL teacher at Thorpe School. So they were all there, and you can see these great pictures. It was just so much fun, and they just the kids just were over the moon and just loved playing soccer every day with these families. So it was just such a great feel. I just really appreciate all the time you guys gave up over vacation to work with them and really make that vacation not one where it was like sitting around and not having much to do, but every day had an activity to go do. So it was so special. So thank you, too. Yeah. Great. Do you have anything?
Thank you.
Absolutely great.
I just want to say something.
Yeah.
My daughter has both Miss White and Miss Graberio, and just how loving they are to those families.
Yeah.
That I know we're going to be talking about it. Like the students see it and they appreciate it. They come home, they talk about it, and just thank you for everything you've done for them this year.
Thank you. All right. Good.
And some of those were Marblehead students. I would be remiss to
Yeah.
recognize Colin,
Yeah.
one of my former students. It was awesome.
Hi.
It was a great,
Yeah.
great opportunity. I got a chance to go over there Friday and just see the fun and the work. And I think the adults were more tired than the
I know.
students.
I know.
So.
I'm sure.
Yeah, we have some real budding soccer
Thank you.
soccer players, or football, they would say, right? Coming out at the Smith School, I have to say. So that's great. Good. And then, yep. And then,
All right, the next piece, Mary will update on the emergency assistance program.
so I think as we've updated you in the past, that the state was consolidating their emergency assistance programs, and Danvers was a site where that I can't say it, consolidation took place. Thank you. So we are in the midst of enrolling. So this has come in it slowly happened as sites close. They close down one site at a time and they arrive. So we will, by the time mid-January ends, we'll be enrolling 34 new students in that program in the Danvers Public Schools. And as we do that, we look across. We have a chart at the elementary level where, like, the numbers of kids in each classroom, and that's really how it happens. Is we start putting kids in the classroom with the smallest class sizes to bring equity across the district on class sizes. So that's how it's happening at the elementary level, and then at the middle and high school, they're absorbed because there's teams and courses at the high school that they're much easily absorbed at that level. I also want to add, just for your information, that additionally we've enrolled 21 students who've moved to Danvers in that time, just to give you context for what the flow of kids in Danvers are. So that time period is there. So that's enabled us to enroll students in all 7 schools. So previously we were using 3 elementary schools in the middle school and high school, and now we've expanded to a 4th school for the students that are in emergency assistance program, but then also the students that have moved in, of those 21 most of them have ended up at Riverside School. So Riverside has also ended up with students, getting more students as well. So every school in the district is getting new students, and their class, again, looking at their class sizes to make sure that we're staying equitable across the district. So the only other update I have to give you is the district is nearing capacity at kindergarten. We only have 17 spots remaining to the maximum of 22 students in each class. So many of the classes are at 22 right now, and there's a few classes in schools that are a little less. There's some that are 19 and some that are 20 that we can absorb some of the other things. So I think we'll make it through the year without that unless something else happens, but just that's how tight our kindergarten numbers are, and that's how big that class is this school year. Once you hit grade 1, the class size max is at 25. So we're getting, there's about 30 spots in grade 1. That's the next class that's pretty full. And then after that, 2, 3, 4, and 5, we have room at other schools.
So we've enrolled 30, okay, we've enrolled 21. Do we have additional 34 more that are coming, or we're saying in total?
In total, we will have 55.
In total,
in 2 months,
55,
yeah.
okay.
In 2 months, we'll have 55 kids enrolling in
there's
Danvers.
21 moved into
21 moved
Danvers.
to Danvers, like an apartment or a house, and they've registered in our school.
Okay. What happens if we get to capacity? Oh, we don't know.
Well, then we'd have to open up another classroom.
Right, and then one of the buildings that has room.
Yeah,
Okay.
Smith would have room in that building
Okay.
to open up a class.
Like, I know that they can have up to 25 kids, but obviously, and like some of the grades can have up to 30. That's obviously not ideal.
Yeah.
Like, we don't want to have as high, but I mean,
Right.
that's just something to think about.
Actually,
It's not-
25 is our max, and then we start paying, we pay
Right,
teachers.
but even if
afterwards.
we pay, we don't, that 30
Yeah,
is
we
a
don't,
lot.
we try not to get over
Yeah.
that. There's one class at Riverside that we've had too. That's that class that over the years have moved through and moved in, and now they're in
That's
5th
so hard.
grade.
Yep.
So this is,
Okay,
but we try not to do that, so.
okay.
Yeah,
And that probably won't be as large next year because, like you said, in the middle school with the
Yeah,
teams and the
it-
teachers
it
and
all-
exploratories, right?
on and
Okay,
out.
okay.
Yeah.
Any questions?
Yeah, I think that class-wise and class size-wise, we're always watching that. We're looking at that in terms of budget, I know. And so that'll be something that we talk about going forward.
Yeah.
I am curious about the EA Student Assistance Program. Just what additional supports are we offering to these students to help them, assimilate
Thanks.
into our classes?
Yes, we've actually added in we just hired a new ESL teacher. So
Good.
so that has been, we've had to hire a teacher to help service all those students. And we also have had, and since in the time we've transferred a teacher aide to be an ESL, she speaks a second language, so we've transferred an aide to be an ESL teacher aide. We've hired another teacher aide that works at the middle school for
Okay.
ESL. So, and actually he's proved to be as the new middle school students have come in, walks them around the school for the day, gets them acclimated.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, he speaks Spanish as well, so we're very fortunate. As many of the students that are coming speak many languages. They speak 2 or 3, and so it's either Spanish, Haitian Creole. Some
Sure.
speak 3, Haitian Creole, Spanish, and Portuguese. If they came through, they went to Brazil before they came here. So, yeah, they speak so many. It makes me feel like, oh gosh, I wish I've done more with my foreign language or
Yeah,
second language.
exactly.
So,
But,
they get it on me, I'll say.
let them know that we appreciate, the staff at the schools, what they're doing
Yeah.
to help everybody have a good experience here. That's important. Thanks.
Are the 55 students spread rather evenly
Oh, yeah.
across grades?
Yes, they're pretty much spread across the elementary, middle, and high school. Yeah. So.
And what kind of financial support are we getting from the state?
The state is going to provide $104 a day per student per day. So obviously the students that we had early on, which were about 50 students, we get that from September 1 to June. And then the ones that are coming in now, whatever their start day is from that day on till June, will be the $104 a day. Plus we got $1,000 for the initial 50 students that were in our district, $1,000 each, so $50,000. And that kind of work is where we put to our after-school program to get that started, as well as buying, like we got lots of donations, but any kind of incidentals. We did a pocket talk where it translates, the languages, so you can talk into it, and there'll be translations. So things like that we've put in place.
I know we spoke about this in the past, but there's a few other communities that are also receiving these EA students.
Yes.
Is there any sort of way that they're distributing the students, appropriately to? I know it was
Yeah.
like Dedham and Woburn or something were also in a situation.
Peabody's
Peabody
also another place.
Okay.
Yeah.
But is it like I'm just worried about overcapacity, in the future?
Yeah.
So we've discussed with Center Board in terms of prioritizing. Obviously, when they're consolidating, they were moving toward shelters that have an agency. Well, Center Board's awesome. They're very strong.
Can you explain what Center Board is?
Center Board is a nonprofit agency that provides support to families such as they help with food, transportation, medical, everything to acclimate,
Yeah,
and then
social
the day-to-day
services.
operations, social services.
Yeah.
So they have that. Not all the shelters have that. So as they consolidate it, they move around to those areas, and they are mindful. We've expressed that we're really at capacity, and other communities have done that too. So it's it's spread throughout the Commonwealth. I think at one point there were 80 some odd sites, which multiple communities absorb, in schools as well. So in the last part with the consolidation, one of the things I think that is important is that Center Board is very strong. They've provided the support in our schools. We've done everything we can, and we've been in constant communication with DESE. We have a contact person who's overseeing the program across the state, and we've been working with her in terms of the financial piece to ensure that we have, what we have, and also looking forward to down the road what else we may need to. So I think that's important.
Yeah. So for example, that $104 a day per student, that's what's helping us hire another ESL teacher. So that salary that we have is going to be paid for by the state funding of $104 a day.
Okay.
I have a quick, and it might, I know it's outside our boundaries, but is the state giving assistance to the agency as well? Because I
Yeah.
know they're constrained as is.
Yes, they are. They're
Okay.
giving them- yeah.
All right.
They have a contract with them, yeah.
All right, good. All right.
Further to Josh's question, though, say, because obviously we have the facilities in our town, there are other communities that don't
Right.
house emergency,
Yeah,
right,
sites, yeah.
families. Is there discussion about transportation to these other districts that might not necessarily have the facilities in their town or city, just to be able to spread it out if we are at capacity, right? Like
Yeah.
a Topsfield or a Middleton
Yeah, we
or.
talked about that.
We've talked about that, and there are pieces in terms of the McKinney-Vento, the federal legislation in terms of school of origin and
Right,
such
okay.
that we fall within. So, families have we have an
Choice.
obligation to those that if it's school of origin they choose to attend, we have to make that happen.
Okay.
We talked, is there other opportunities for other districts? And it's really a tough conversation. We've done our best to, I think, the good news is that as we are at a point of not only capacity, but the shelters are too.
Right.
So, and they're prioritizing families that have
I see
students
what you're
outside of
saying.
school-age
Yeah.
students.
Yeah.
Right.
Right, the students that would be below grade age of 5, and then those that would be above as well.
Okay.
And as I talk with other superintendents, we're all working through it as best we can, and just, and the other organizations in the state, such as the Association of Superintendents, we're all advocating the best that we can, because we obviously have the moral obligation, we have the legal obligation to balance, and do the best we can.
Other than the finances, what other supports are we getting from the state?
They are giving any teacher that didn't get the SEI endorsement, so they're giving them free SEI endorsement classes, which is a 45-hour class on how to work with Ls that are in your classroom. So any teacher, I send out an email to all teachers in Danvers and saying that this would be offered. So teachers let me know if they were interested, and I gave their name to the state. So that's good, because that costs, some of them need it for their certification. There's veteran teachers that never took it that don't need it for their certification, but I was surprised at how many did actually, have interest in taking a class, so they're doing that. They gave us a translation, gave us access to a translation service, but the one we have at Lexikeet is much better, and it's easier to, it's a constant access. We can always have it. It's on demand. Where the state one is like you have to put in to get an appointment, and then you might not get one. You know, so this worked out better to use the one we had currently had, Lexikeet, and then. They also gave us names of people if we needed in-person interpreters, so gave us that, and we've used a few of those in-person interpreters for our schools, but we use them sparingly because the Lexikeet video translation works beautifully. So,
I mean, long-term, in the end, this issue is going to keep coming up,
Yeah.
whether it comes up every few years or every 10 years, until there's a plan for dealing with providing long-term affordable housing units for folks, because we tend to think of the emergency assistant families as, recent arrivals, but that's not just the case. We have some that they're not recent arrivals. They've just lost housing for whatever reason. They end up in Danvers, and then either they switch schools or we pay half the cost of returning them to their district. It's not putting aside any financial considerations for us or what we go through. The truth is, it's not great for these families to be in impermanent transitional housing. So as a society, we've got to address that. A bigger issue than the Danvers School Committee,
Right.
but it doesn't hurt to keep talking about it.
right.
Okay. Any other questions, comments?
I just want to thank Mary for her efforts and her team. Extraordinary amount of time and efforts. We've spoken, I know she works the weekends, evenings, outside of the time, just to make sure that the families are taken care of and the students are taken care of. And she's done an outstanding job, as well as her team. And thank you for taking so great care of our students.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mary.
All right, we're ready to move on to the last piece?
Budget.
All right, so I just wanted to put together just a quick thumbnail sketch of the process we're going through. Obviously coming aboard and having my idea in terms of a way to present and work through the budget process with the ultimate goal is to present the school committee the best budget to serve our needs, and then working from there. So I broke it down with the timeline, the basic thumbnail sketch of our process, and then the workshop and the hearing coming up. So we created a budget timeline. Actually, this goes before January. We've been working on this, but AC means our administrative council, which includes our principals, directors, assistant principals. About 26 of us, we meet once a month, and we've just plotted and planned the AC meetings to, particularly the next the last, actually 3 total, that we would work on the budget, review the process, and then work on our presentation. The change this year, which will be different than in the past, is that the final product we present to the school committee, virtually, use the same process of just constantly reviewing, going back, prioritizing, and all that I'll talk about. But I would like the voices of our principals and directors to be heard. I think it's important that they present to you all the work that they've done, because I believe when you ask the hard questions about what they need and such, it's important to hear it from them. And so we've been working with the team in terms of what this would look like and how to best be efficient as possible when we get to the budget workshop and the hearing. So really from the second we laid all this out, the 3rd to the 22nd, we're meeting with all the individual groups, Pam Crum, our business manager, and myself, and we're sitting down with the high school, the middle school, the elementary school, the curriculum, special education, technology, and every group, and just really going through what they've submitted to us back in December, breaking it down in terms of maximizing personnel, maximizing the budget lines, and all that, so that we're in a good place to really construct our presentation. We added a meeting on the 23rd of the AC group to really build the skeleton of our presentation. The 24th to 26th, that is a timeline we typically will meet with the town just to go over where we're at with our budget, and it's a budget discussion with the town. It typically happens around that time. The first part of February 6th, we'll have our last AC meeting, which our presentation will be complete. We'll go through a dry run and be ready to go for the 12th, which is the budget workshop. We will submit the slides to the school committee right after that AC meeting so that you have an ample opportunity to review the slides, to review the information that's coming to you. So that way on the 12th, when we have the workshop, and we did start that at 5:30, because we'd like to try to go in one evening if possible. I'm looking forward, I'll talk more about that as we get into that piece. And then we follow up with the 16th is when that budget book will come to you. So ideally, once we finish that workshop, we'll receive the feedback, we'll make any tweaks, adjustments we need to make to finalize the budget book that you typically receive. So then you have an opportunity to analyze that before the 26th of the budget hearing, which at that point, we'll have the final presentation, we'll have the public hearing there and go from that point. With the hope is that by March 1, we can get the budget information to the select board, because the next step is on the 11th, you'll vote the final budget and sign off, and then it goes to the select board officially on the 16th. We'll make the presentation. And then in April, we'll make the presentation to the FinCom, Finance Committee, and then May is the town meeting. So, and I'll share these slides with you too, just so you see the timeline. But I think it's important because our principals and directors are very busy with what they do. I really wanted to sketch out in backwards design what we're looking to do, because it is a different way of presenting than they're used to doing. So this basically just breaks down the time frame for December to February. Actually, November, we were talking about prioritization and what they're looking for up into February, when we finally turned this over to the workshop in February 12th, and then the public hearing, and then March, April. Then the 15th is usually around that town meeting, and then we begin that fiscal year July 1. So it goes fast and furiously. This is a very busy time for this. For us, I had to provide a target for our directors and principals in terms of looking at what is the target, and it's obviously, at this point, level service, which is providing the services that can take into account the cost of living increases and inflation. The process is evolving and collaborative. It's a whole cycle of just reviewing, constant reviewing, working with central leadership and back to their individual, because ultimately they need to determine what need they're looking for, and then review their current resources, their budget lines, as I said. Personnel, are we maximizing? The key is maximizing our resources. If the needs are and the asks are for things, can we reallocate budget lines, can reallocate personnel to make that match for the asks? Because basically it breaks down to non-salary and salary requests. That'll be the asks that come. So all the work we've been doing since really November, really hitting it hard now. Next week we have a lot of meetings with our directors, is to fine-tune those requests to get ready to presentation mode to turn over to school committee. And I've asked them to prioritize the request, because obviously we're at a point where we need to make sure that we get what we need, but also within means of where we're at to maximize our resources, but also serve the needs of what we need to do to keep moving forward as a district. So the AC meetings, quite frankly, are just a process of developing what they're looking for in terms of prioritizing. They're connecting to the school improvement plan and district improvement plan. And I think that's very important. We've put a lot of work in setting our goals at the beginning of the year, so their ask should match those key parts, those key components, and that'll be displayed on the slides that you'll receive. And then it's really up to us to really refine and review the presentation. They're not used to that style of what we're looking for a budget workshop. So working with them on that, we've put together the template slides that they're working to develop their presentations, and then ultimately, go through a dry run, look at some shortcomings or provide the feedback that you might provide on that workshop as well. So those individual meetings are happening next week. We're going to review the requests and priorities, and as well as keeping in mind the special education that we presented to the town earlier in the school committee, the program and plans to improve and to reduce out-of-district placements, as well as the equity priorities that we've been asked to work on as well. So that's all going to be built into the budget that we work to present to you. So the workshop, the goal is really to present the information, right? We want feedback from the school committee for further refinement of our budget. So when we get to the hearing on the 26th, we're in a really good place. So the workshop, I look at it as being interactive. We make the presentations, we get the feedback, and again, more refinements to really hone this down so we're in a good place and totally transparent with the whole process. So we're asking each stakeholder to present their part of the budget to you. We'll do a quick overall of the budget itself. Pam, Crum, and myself will provide the numbers, and then each school and department will make their presentations. The new asks, the salary and non-salary, and any capital improvements. And obviously, we'll leave time at the end for any questions and feedback, because I think that's really the big piece of that workshop. So we're really looking forward to that. And that's really a thumbnail sketch. Nothing new in terms of developing the budget and going through priorities and knowing our target goals, but we're changing the style of the presentation to you and then providing that workshop on the 12th so that we have more dialogue and interaction. So that's really, I just want to give you an update where we are. Again, I'll forward the slides to you so you have them. So that's kind of where we're at.
Thank you. I like that this is new, that we are hearing from the different schools in each department. I think that's really important. Then we can ask the specific questions. Any other comments?
I do. So Dan, at the workshop, do you anticipate that we'll have like a draft budget book at that point to be able to go through, or is it more of a presentation of priorities and what different levels are going to be looking for?
So the budget workshop will have very specific asks by each department.
Oh, good, okay.
And then you'll receive your budget book after the workshop. Because it's important that we have your feedback for further refinements.
Okay.
You know, as it matches our priorities and we receive your feedback, there could be adjustments. Pam will be working on the draft book as we go along, but it just made sense to us to present that book before you go into the hearing, so you have 2 weeks to review that piece.
Sure.
But you'll have the slides well in advance. You'll have a week plus in advance to review the slides. So each slide will have the breakdown of the salary asked by department, the non-salary, and then any capital piece, and then a narrative that gives an overview of the rationale.
Okay, I
So
think
you'll
that's
have all those slides in advance.
good, all right, because I think that's important for us to, if we're going to give meaningful feedback, then the data that we get, the information that we get ahead of that workshop will be important. I want us to be able to give you as much good feedback as we can, so the more we have ahead of time, the more helpful it would be.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
So and that's why I inserted that extra AC meeting to really further work on the slides and presentation so that it's very specific to the dollar amount, right? So that way you have that opportunity to review that information. So when we get to the workshop, you know in advance and can make notes in whatever areas you want to highlight or talk about more refinement that's needed.
Great, thank you.
Welcome.
No, I just think it looks like a good process this year, so I'm looking forward to it. No, I mean, it doesn't sound like it's going to be a barrel of fun, but I'm just saying, I think just having a lot of transparency involved with the process is definitely great.
Well, I thought it was important as a principal. I'm used to that style to present because I've done the work, and you know, it's one thing for me to present in place of, which we will when we get to the select board and the FinCom. But I think it's important because I've observed here, asking our elementary teams, and I think that dialogue is hugely important. And it's just getting that group used to that style, which they're doing a good job with.
And I'm actually looking forward to it. We tend to get the budget to us fully baked just about the time we have to talk about it
I
and vote.
know.
And, you know, maybe a change here or there we can recommend, but to be able to have some feedback up front and to hear from all the stakeholders. I'm kind of looking forward to this, yeah.
I'll make sure we bring snacks and some refreshments.
It's a long night, yeah. Okay. All right, so we're at unfinished business.
All right, unfinished business, as I said, the North Shore Education Consortium that we're part of, as well as 19 other schools. There was a capital improvement project that was voted on recently. It's an HVAC project that is pretty extensive, and one that has been on the drawing board since 2007. It was voted on December 19th and approved by the membership, and what that entails, it's an $11 million project. The breakdown is a $9 million loan and a $2 million assessment of all the member schools. There was a lot of discussion on this, and I think the important thing is just to know that, you know, we all have our share for what we'll be required to help with this cost for the consortium. Just to give you a breakdown, we have 19.5 students, and again, it's hard to put a 0.5 on it, but we cost share with Gloucester for one. There are 2 students that are not impacted by the project, so a total of 17.5 students that are part of the consortium that are impacted by the HVAC project. So the way it works for the assessment for the 2 million is they broke it down and they took a tiered approach by the amount of students that are represented by each community. So our share is 80,000. That we have a time frame that we can pay at the end of this fiscal year or early next fiscal year. So we have to build this in for planning purposes as well. And there will be a tuition increase, which it hasn't been quite finalized yet, the nuts and bolts that's upcoming in the next committee meeting, but it's a 14% tuition increase for the Kevin O'Grady School. The Kevin O'Grady School, so you know, is the one that is for the medically fragile students that requires a higher level of care. And it's one where the HVAC has to work. If the HVAC goes out, those students aren't able to come in, right? And we have 9.5 we cost share with Gloucester for one student. And the remainder of the consortium in that area is 8%, so we have eight students there. So our total tuition increase, it'll be finally established at an upcoming board meeting, but we've been talking in ways and working, and we've met with the town as well, knowing that we have this cost. And it's not just our community, it's all the other communities that are built in. There are also some non-member districts that do utilize the services that are being broken down for some cost shares. So if this wasn't approved, we could be in a tough situation where students would have to be moved, and the alternative, you know, you might find comparable placements possibly, but the transportation would alone as exorbitant as it is, but it would be probably much higher. And you know, it's a situation that if this isn't dealt with, you know, for us to find the alternatives would be a very, very difficult situation. So there was a lot of dialogue with the other superintendents. We were all going through the same thing because obviously for the project there was an increase to that, and I just wanted to share this with the committee and give you an update. We haven't broken down exactly the specific of the increase with the tuitions, but I'll follow up with more dialogue to keep you informed how that will work for next year.
Did they say why it was like all of a sudden 14% increase?
They broke down that 9 million, that the loan itself was 9 million, but the project's 11
Gotcha.
million.
Okay, that's how they did it.
So
Okay.
they had the assessment, they had some of the cash that was there for the 2 million, that comes up to the 80,000 for our share, and other districts, they couple that together.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Any questions?
I have one, I always
Yeah.
have one.
Sure.
What are the tuition increases of 14% and 8% represent on a per student basis? Now, so is the 14% going, what is going X to X plus? What is that delta?
Where it gets a little tricky is that we will report this individually so we can utilize our circuit breaker funding for that.
Okay.
So that's the additional funding we get from the state to help support. So
Yes.
that's why it's difficult to give a flat amount right now.
Okay.
Because that may change, but that's how they've broken this down to help districts so they can tap into the circuit breaker if necessary to help
Okay.
get this through.
So at the moment, the answer is you don't know quite yet.
We don't know quite yet. We have a ballpark area, but you know, I don't want to report that until I have
Okay.
more specifics.
Fair enough. Thanks.
You're welcome.
All right, we are on to new business. So the Town of Danvers fiscal year 2025 budget goals, objectives, and draft documents. So I know we get this every year from the town.
So this was shared in the folder, but I thought I'd bring a hard copy as well. We've been asked to review as each department the budget goals, long-term goals, and then, ongoing strategic objectives. The town is looking for any feedback before they finalize this with the select board. So I said we have a school committee tonight and would share this with you. So any feedback and discussion, I'm happy to bring back and provide that to the town. That's it for my slides.
Yeah. Madam Chair, if I could, this is not normally something that we vote on. We literally just provide feedback.
Right, we review,
Of
yeah.
any potential changes. Yeah.
Yep. And one was very similar, I don't remember if it was word for word, but last year they also put in a goal about special education spending also.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah,
It was one of his 3 goals.
right, one of his, yeah. And obviously, too, we have number 2 goal, every union, I think, is up for collective bargaining agreements this year in the town. So that obviously is why that's a goal. Are there any questions, comments, feedback?
I read through this,
Yeah.
and it looks to me like it's well thought out, it's organized. There are references, particularly in the second bullet point under long-term goals, in terms of long-term school funding, and the very first bullet talks about working with us to fund and implement a strategy to curb the growth of out-of-district special education spending, which we all agree, I think, is a joint goal of all of us. So personally, I saw this and I think it's fine. I don't know if my colleagues.
Yep, I didn't have any feedback.
No additional feedback.
Yeah. So I guess that's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, if anything,
Feedback would be we like it.
Yeah. And I mean, like we did last year, we really appreciate too that there is a specific one for Danvers Public Schools, that is a specific goal, because that really, I think, it really hones in on the importance of schools within the Danvers community. So that's very much appreciated. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Minutes?
Yeah, we're into the minutes.
All right. The secretary moves to approve and release the minutes from the December 11th, 2023 regular meetings and approve but not release the December 11th, 2023 executive session minutes.
So, second.
Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? None. So we have the fundraising approvals. Is there any questions about those approvals? Okay, so we need to vote.
Superintendent recommends, I take it,
Yep.
the
Superintendent
approval of the
recommends the
funding.
fundraising?
yes,
Okay.
yes, sorry.
So
Superintendent
moved.
recommends the fundraising.
We haven't had any
requests.
recently.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, so all those in favor of the fundraising approvals, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? None. Legislation?
The governor announced, I believe it was yesterday, $347 million in cuts from the budget. Not quite sure where those will land yet. I'm interfacing with our legislators to find out if there's any impact on education generally or on Danvers in particular. And at our virtual meeting, hopefully we'll have an update.
What was the amount again?
I think it was $347 million, but I'm working from memory and I'm old, so.
All right. All right, so we'll know more hopefully soon with that. Subcommittee updates, curriculum and equity, that meets January 22nd, so we'll have more updates then. Policy,
That'll be a February
yeah,
meeting.
there's nothing more. Safety, we have our next meeting on January 29th. I know we gave our update at the last meeting, right? Did we?
No, we didn't.
Oh, we didn't, okay, do you want to give it?
Be
I couldn't
happy to.
remember when we met versus that.
Yep, it was actually
Okay.
a great meeting. We had a presentation. We were reviewing an app that teachers could have on their phones that would inform if there's a school emergency, just a quicker way of responding. Essex Tech has a similar app, so we had a presentation. We're getting more research to bring back to the next meeting. It was favorably reviewed and looking at it as a quick way to make that connection if, God forbid, there's an emergency, right? And then from that piece, we also have put together, we're working on a district threat assessment team. We had some professional development for a group of our admin that attended one recently. So we met actually yesterday. Oh my gosh, time's flying. No, Thursday, excuse me. Yesterday would be tough to meet on a Sunday. To formulate the district a threat assessment team for more PD and really work on developing a protocol that would be used if there's a threat that would come not only against a specific school or district, which I'm very pleased that we're making good progress on that. We also added another safety piece to any building base where we have the lockdown, and we also have one we called stay put, stay in place, stay put. Shelter in place was, we had two commands, right? So obviously lockdown that's a serious, that's when things are really happening. The secure room was also one used that if there's a threat outside of the building, just stay in your room, go about your normal business, but nobody in, nobody out of the building. We really felt that there are levels of things that could occur during the school day that do not need to go to that level of a secure room, because right off the bat you're thinking a threat that's out there. So the stay put just would allow a class to stay in class, to stay put, and that's used typically if there is a medical emergency that would occur and you need to clear the halls quickly, but nobody's in danger. Or if somebody's dysregulated and we need to take care of that, just to get everybody out of the hallway for dignity and privacy. And that's usually a shorter window of time, but it doesn't raise the level of anxiety as a shelter in place and certainly a lockdown. So we added that in, and the principals are sharing that out. So lots of good stuff by the safety committee.
And we made the visuals too that are gonna go out
Yep.
too for all the schools and for like the kids to be able to see too.
Exactly.
Yeah. And just thing too, on the app, as far as like notifications, it also, if we were to purchase it, would also notify parents and families. The one thing we are just trying to figure out is we wanna make sure that it can translate. 'Cause obviously if it can't, that is an issue. So we're figuring out that answer. Deep.
They had a meeting in December, and we talked about there's a wine tasting in March coming up, so that it's moved now, shifted from the fall to March. So they talked about the grants. They awarded their teacher grants. I forget exactly how many. I think it was somewhere between 15 and 20 grants to our teachers. They were really looking for innovative ideas, so they kind of vetted the teacher applications through that. So I think that was pretty much what we talked about at the meeting.
Great, thank you. Danvers Cares?
You went to that today?
Oh, I went to Danvers. Yes, I went today. Today we had a trusted adult training from someone from the NAN project, which is NAN project is the suicide prevention organization. So they talked about how would we be good trusted adults and what kids will look for in trusted adults. So it's great training. I thought for the teachers that would be a great training for them as well. But it's a lot of some of the work we already do with our teachers and all that, but it was great to have that presentation. And then we also talked about future things coming up.
Thank you. Josh, I know you have a CPAC update.
Yeah, I do have a CPAC update. So there's going to be new IEP forms coming out in September 2024. So I just wanted to read a quick little update about what the process is going on about that. But some context about it is the Mass Department of Education, of Elementary and Secondary Education, has made some updates to the IEP form. So these changes expect to overall strengthen the IEP process and improve educational outcomes for students with disabilities. Massachusetts IEP forms were last updated in the year 2000. Focus groups of educators and parents have been working with the Office of Special Education and Department of Education for the past several years to develop the new IEP form that all districts will be required to use starting in, as I said before, September 2024. So some districts were early adopters and provided some feedback to the state, and which came to help create those final drafts of the forms. So Danvers, like most districts, is preparing to implement the new IEP forms in September. And Danvers has joined with neighboring districts to participate in training with Alan Bloom, who's an educational consultant who works with the schools across Massachusetts, and with a focus on the new IEP forms. So Alan's going to be, has been providing training for the special education coordinators, is excited to work with our families to help understand the new IEP forms and how they'll impact the team meeting process. So after that, the CPAC, after the CPAC parent training with Alan Bloom, they give a summary of how that went, and they can come and actually present to the school committee if we'd like.
Yes, that would be awesome.
Okay.
Yeah. Probably not the days of the budget,
Right.
but any other
Sure.
option. It can even be virtual too, if it works better for their schedule, whatever
Okay,
works.
that sounds great.
Yeah, thank you.
You got it.
And then Danvers Human Rights and Inclusion Committee, I know Mr. Pollock came to discuss the MLA celebration on the 15th, 3 to 6 at DHS Auditorium. Is there anything?
Yes.
else? Okay.
I attended the December meeting. I think it was held on the 23rd. And the committee had been asking for an update/report really on what the equity and the inclusion rather and curriculum subcommittees really do as a process, and what the process is and what they report back. They want to know more. And I presented sort of a summary of how subcommittees work within the school committee, what the reporting expectations are, and what, the fact that it's really a conduit for us to have a voice in terms of, and by us I mean the school committee, in terms of the curriculum and inclusion efforts that we're making, and to be able to have the committee report back to us and us to give feedback to the administration. The inclusion committee suggested that it would be helpful if at school committee meetings that the subcommittee talk a little bit about what's actually discussed at meetings and what the efforts that we're making are, what actually goes on at the committee meetings, like just a summary report. And I did, and I think they understand that I pointed out one of the really great features of, I think, the school committee meetings the last year or more has been that when we get reports from the schools, when the students present their, make their presentations to us at the beginning of a meeting, really the focus for the last several months and longer has been on what they're doing in their own schools on these subjects, really, and to be able to tell the public exactly how the students are learning and what they're learning, what they're exposed to. And they understand that, but nonetheless, they thought it would be helpful to show the school committee support if there could be a brief summary report from the subcommittee in terms of what actually has been discussed at recent meetings.
Yeah.
Other than that, feedback was very positive.
Okay,
So,
yeah, I know, I mean,
thank
we
you.
meet,
Next week.
yeah,
or
next
week
week,
after?
the 22nd. The first meeting, we really dove deep into MCAS. I know we reported back on that. Also, I think one of the great things too about all these subcommittee, well, not all of them, but most of them, it's all virtual, so anyone can join. Like, I welcome
Yep.
any of them to join. The agendas are always posted, the Zoom link, so that might clear up too. But we definitely, if you feel like we need to give a little bit more in-depth, kind of like summary, we definitely can include that too.
Well, again, that
Yeah.
was the suggestion
Yeah,
from
yeah,
what they are looking
yeah.
for. It's up to you, Madam Chair.
Okay, no, thank
Yeah.
you. But to also, please remind them that all of them are public too and virtual.
Sure,
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, so, if that is it, we need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, none. So good night, Danvers. The next meeting is January 22nd at 6:30, and it is virtual. Thank